This is news today. A man was Monday morning shot and killed by the police at Adenta in Accra for wrestling with the police who were supervising the demolition of unauthorized structures on aviation lands. The deceased is said to be a son of the chief of the area. 3 others suspected to be land guards were also arrested by the police service. They were said to have opened fire on the police in an attempt to stop the demolition exercise being carried out by a private developer at the aviation land Adenta in Accra. Affected persons say they received notices of the demolition but ignored them because in the past such notices had not been carried through. The aviation lands, which is 640 acres, has been earmarked to be developed as a business district for people living in Adenta, Medina and its environs. DSP Freeman Tete Police Public Affairs Director said police personnel had the right to defend themselves when attacked by a rowdy mob or group of persons. He told Joy News the option was the only available one to his colleagues who were under attack.
To cut it short, a group of land guards attacked the team on the ground and with weapons and machetes, about 25 of them in number. And unfortunately for one of them, he was in the process of slashing a policeman when he was shot dead by another colleague.
Many are asking, couldn't this man have been demobilized rather than shoot him
It
dead?
was difficult under the circumstances, a matter of life and death. And the first line of defense is yourself. So the policeman had no other choice than defending himself. That was the only option available for the policeman on the ground at the moment.
What happens to these 3 who have been arrested?
We'll be investigating them. They've been taken into custody and they will be investigated and, if possible, taken to court.
Right, but Member of Parliament for Adenta constituency, Emmanuel Ni Ashimo, told Joy News he was upset at the way and manner the demolition exercise was handled. He wondered who approved the document, and there was no MCE in place as of May 2013.
13 May, we didn't have a DCE. So who approved it? 2013 May, there was no DCE in place of Adenta here. So who invited him and who asked him to approve this document? So this document that he has here, I'm not buying the documents he has. We're building a business center. We're building, I don't know who is building, because government doesn't build business center. Government doesn't build shopping mall. You have to get my point for everywhere. Place is not demarcated for dumping place. My issue have to be that I said the issue have to be the municipal assembly comes here every blessed day to collect their taxes. So meaning that if we need to do this, we should have done this and make sure that we serve the people the notice for us to give them notice what we are doing today here with the human face, and we'll pick it up from somewhere. But if I'm saying that this is it's not determined by one person, but determined by the staffs, people, electoral, unity committee members, government appointees of the assembly. We had wanted even to bring this issue back to the assembly for discussion on the 14th of this month, where people has blocked the meeting that we can't call that meeting to discuss about this issue.
We are joined in the studio by my colleague Yafusua Jemfi, who has been on this particular beat, which has to do with the demolition exercise. She'll tell us more about this. Thank you very much, Yaf, for joining us on News Today. You were there. You heard what Ashimo had said. Ashimo has told us that really he has no idea what this is. Yeah. And I'm wondering what the consultant himself was saying. What did you gather from the consultant?
Okay, Kamini, the consultant we spoke to said they've been giving them notices for about 2 years now, and then the recent one was just about 3 weeks ago. And so this has even delayed their project for like 6 months. And it's part of efforts to decongest the central business area of Accra. And then secondly, to also let aviation, the Ghana Aviation also developed some of its sites for international schools and training centers. So that was the two main reasons he gave us for the exercise being carried on today. So we can take a listen to what...
Absolutely. Just before then, Ashimov feels that he questioned the credibility of the document the consultant had brought.
Yeah.
What did the consultant say about the document and how he
said it had been agreed, it had been sent to an assembly meeting and they had agreed on it. So there was no way that the MP could deny knowledge of the documents. And then it was just a banter between the two of them though. But the consultant still insisted that it was agreed, so they had to carry on with the demolition this morning. So we can take a listen to what...
Absolutely. Well, let's take a listen to Frank Taki. He's consultant for the project.
Why this exercise this morning?
Well, it's got to do with the fact that government has used for this land. I believe these are encroachers and squatters unless they can prove otherwise. The land belongs to government and partly assigned to civil aviation. Government itself has seen this as a very strategic site to be used to develop an Adenta Central Business District. The whole idea is to help to decongest Accra. So this becomes more like a holding bay for the high, medium-income community living around Adenta, not only Adenta, Medina, Ashale Buche, Legon, Hacho, and so on. As a suburban center that will hold back the movement to Accra. Then you have civil aviation's demands. They have international obligations to build things like an aviation training center, international. All of those international obligations have been withheld because of the encroachment on the site. So I think basically it's a dual purpose to get this agenda back on track. Government's desire to build this as a suburban center and help in the whole Great Accra's planning. And then also civil aviation's international obligations.
Why do you wait for the encroachers to stay till this time before this exercise is taking?
What to do with the fact that maybe warnings were served initially and probably the recalcitrant nature of encroachers as we have in the history of Ghana, or probably the funding was not probably available at that time and now that the money is ready. There's no point in clearing the site when you're not ready to start construction probably. So I'm hazarding a guess. But that's not my area. Mine is to take over from here and help to bring out the vision of what is the best use for this area. There are competing interests for land. I'm sure you are aware. This area could as well be one of a very nice maize farm. Why not? The first phase is to put in the roads and infrastructure, drains, water supply, and so on. And that should be taking a span of 6-7 months to get that through. The next phase will be the actual buildings in the various pockets of development.
Well, Yafusu Ajemfi is still here with us in the studio. Tell us a bit more about the area. How many structures are we looking at?
Kemini, a lot which we couldn't even count, but looking at a 640-acre land is so huge. But even at the outskirts, just a tape of the place, a lot of temporary structures, containers and kiosks where people do their commercial activities. And especially what you can notice most about this area is the auto mechanic shops. So you have a lot of cars around the place being dumped there, those still under repairs, and a whole lot. And then another activity you could find in the area was church springing up all over the place. I could count about 5 of them that were being demolished, and you could see that people were left so stranded because they said they've been given notice several times, but it never happened that the demolition took place, so they took it for granted. So this morning it really came as a surprise to them. So you could see them running around trying to bring out their belongings and stuff, the churches, their instruments, and
these people bought the land.
Yeah, there was this particular family we spoke to. He said he's the secretary of one church, Muzama Disco Cristo Church, and then they bought 2 acres, which was about 150 or 300. 2 of them was about 300, and it was bought just a year ago.
300 million?
Yeah. He bought it from one of the landlords, who even this morning confirmed to them that they were not part, they weren't going to be affected by this exercise. So they believed and just stayed there till it happened that they had to just get out there, and they were stranded.
And so people wanted to defend their property, which led to a scuffle.
And then because it was just a 16-member team, the police that were trying to protect the area, and then some went into the innermost part of the area. And it happened that the police confirmed to us that some alleged land guards attacked them, and then one tried to slash the policeman with a machete, and then he ended up being shot. So we met the lifeless body at the site.
And those are church drums on our screen.
Yes, so these are some of the churches.
They had not moved.
They had not moved. But even going into the innermost part of the lands, you could see completed buildings, somewhere uncompleted though. And people didn't know what to do. Women stranded, wailing, a whole lot. We could say.
I see that too.
So that's one of the churches.
The structures coming down, but one person died in this. How did that happen?
Okay, it was an exchange of her between the police and the alleged 25 land guards. And this particular guy, we are being told, tried to attack the policemen who were at that area at that point. And during the exchange, he got shot. They
were armed?
Yeah, with machete. You could find some machete around him at the moment we got to the scene. But 3 others were also arrested. Yeah, they are yet to be identified. And the body of this young man has been sent to the morgue, and they are also yet to be.
At this point in the conversation, I would let in Nana Akwada, his Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety. We'll talk about this particular incident for over the next few minutes. Hello, Nana.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us on News Today.
Thank you too for having me. And a very good afternoon to your
absolutely.
Viewer.
And I'm sure you may have heard of the death of this young man believed to be a land guard. What are your thoughts on the circumstances that led to his shooting and subsequent deaths?
Well, I think that basically it's a very unfortunate development. Our condolence to the family of the bereaved. Also, I want to congratulate the police for their efforts at maintaining public safety. Whilst I do that, it is important that we remind them that their job to the state is to protect lives and property. So if in the execution of this mandate or expectation from the state, lives are lost, it is not a thing to be desired. And having said this, I think that it is important for DSP Fumantete to not to come on air and seek to, as it were, to justify the death of a Ghanaian or a citizen over an incident as probably light or heavy as demolition, because this involves the loss of life. It is important that he probably comes out to assure the public of investigation into this matter and probably, keep our nerves down, because this will go a long way to, affect businesses. It will go a long way to affect our international credibility, our democratic credentials, and all that. So I do not expect that the comrade, the police officer, will come on air and seek to, as it were, justify the death of this person. Why are we saying this? Because the police had all the time. At the time, they've had all the time. They've carried some education among the community. Those who will evacuate have evacuated and all. But I will be very surprised if the police said that they did not anticipate such a reaction or various scenarios of reaction. And if they did, what measures did they put in place? if they put in place measures, then it would have been clear that this person probably his death would be a matter of interest to the police command, because if they had anticipated it, I do not think that they anticipated that they were going to war with citizens. They were going to war with rioting people. So it's important that he comes out to assure the public that this matter will be investigated, and indeed, in accordance with standard police procedures across the world, this matter ought to be investigated.
That DSP Fremantle tells me they would do, because it's standard, like you're saying. But the question many have been asking is this the best move for the police? But the DSP Fremantle tells me, under the circumstances, that's all they could have done. What could they have done in this particular instance?
In fact, these things are what the investigation will probably let us know. For instance, did they create a no-go perimeter for the rioting group? Was this no-go perimeter broken? Was it a trespass? If it was trespass, what did they put in place to caution the people not to proceed further to a police? Because a policeman working under such circumstances, definitely if you charge at him with a cutlass, you might be calling death on yourself. But there must be systems, there are layers of protection. If they broke the perimeter, the police ought to probably withdraw and further warn the people. Or did they have anti-rioting equipment there? Did they, like hot water cannons? All those things must, if those things were not there, then I think it's a failure of the system and their strategy. And this man probably should not have lost his life. And going forward, it's important that if the police did not take the time to go through all of these steps, and this man has lost his life, then it's about time for them that they sit up in such operations.
16-member team from the Ghana Police Service for, a demolition exercise for such a huge land space, over 600 acres of land, 640 really acres of land. And now you think they were understaffed?
Well, like I said, when they are going into such operations, they strategize, they anticipate. So they may probably have been wrong in the anticipation of the reaction, because earlier monitoring the news in the morning, we were told that majority of the people have actually evacuated. There were not many people raising issues with the demolition exercise. And so probably that might have informed them. But like we said, the police are a very professional group, and even if they did not anticipate such a reaction or such a scenario of reaction, it was important for them to build a contingency, a backup plan, so that when they move in and then things change, they have a plan B. But as it stands now, it doesn't seem to me, from where I sit, it doesn't seem to me that the police probably anticipated this reaction, and hence they were less prepared, and that has led to the death of this man. From what the pictures I saw on TV, I cannot exactly see where and how the young man was shot, but it appears that he might have been shot in the head or in the face, and that is most unfortunate if that is the case, because they had the option of even demobilizing this man or even disarming such people. And there are so many ways that the police have been taught to do it. They are professionals and they've been taught to do it. The first line of safety is not to shoot someone to kill. And so before a police will shoot to kill, there must be evidence, credible, tangible evidence to the effect that the life of the police force during this operation were under threat. And if that cannot be proven, because young men have broken a certain perimeter with cutlasses, and so it was time to open fire, then I think somebody must be called to order.
Nana, thank you very much. We'll leave it here for now. Nana Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety. But my colleague Yafusua Jemfi is still here with us in the studio. We'll wrap up on the demolition exercise at the Adentan municipality. Would you say, you were there, you observed, would you say the situation was overwhelming for the number of police personnel who went there?
Yeah, I think just like Nana said, looking at the vast land in this particular case, to me, I think they didn't foresee such thing happening. So because when we even got to the innermost part, I was really shocked that it was that big. And we didn't even know that there was going to be such a scene at the place. But one thing when I interviewed one man in the area, mentioned that it used to be a place for criminal activities, and then it happened that parts of the land were given out and people started settling there temporarily. So if government is going to develop this area, they should do it as quick as possible, or else it would go back to the same thing as being a hub for criminal activity. So I think if that is what is supposed to be done, then it should be done quickly to prevent any criminal activities happening in the area.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it here. Yafusua Jemfi joined us in the studio on the aviation lands reclamation exercise that happened earlier today. We'll bring you more on this particular development in subsequent bulletins. But let's go to Parliament now. And you may already know that Parliament is reconvened for a sitting today on the sale of Merchant Bank. My colleague Emmanuel Anta has joined us over the telephone to give us a quick update on what the House has been discussing. Hello, Emma. We have lost Emmanuel Anta there, unfortunately. So we'll move on to some other stories where 40 years after its establishment, the Museum of Science and Technology, which was the brainchild of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, has been turned into a haven for squatters, owing to the inability of successive governments to channel resources to the project, which is partly complete. Redwan Karim Osman reports stakeholders are yet to decide the fate of this facility.
It is estimated that Ghana's tourism sector contributes 4.7% to Ghana's GDP. This figure obviously leaves much to be desired, yet perhaps not enough is being done to improve the tourism sector in the country. A clear case is the Museum of Science and Technology here in Accra. According to city authorities, it is the first high-rise building to be put up in Accra. From outside, one sees a magnificently plush building, but upon entry, one is greeted with a scene of abandonment and squalor. Every corner of the building is thick with dust and engulfed by cobwebs, even though the news team was told that the partly completed building was left in the hands of a caretaker by the contractor since the project was abandoned in 2008. The said caretaker has also opened the building to squatters who do not only sleep there, but do virtually everything there. Dr. Zagba Oyote is the executive director of the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board.
Indeed, Ghana has always had a Museum of Science and Technology since the late 60s, and it has a very wide and interesting collection of artifacts, well visited by children to learn about plants, animals, human vertebrae, etc. Sometime in the early 70s, Ghana decided to extend and expand this science museum, and the building that is visible from the roadside was started. However, in the last near 40 years, very little has been done to finish the building. But it is 80% complete as a building. We have a renewed focus on trying to deliver it.
He said the board is confronted with myriad of challenges, making it unable to complete the project. According to Dr. Zagba, although a stakeholder meeting was held in September last year, the board is yet to meet again in 6 months to decide on the next line of action.
We'll put the schedule together in 6 months' time. We'll announce our schedule for continuing the work in 6 months' time.
The news team decided to visit a smaller museum located on the premises of the Museum of Science and Technology. Here, our disappointment was deepened. The only items on display were images on oil exploration, some byproducts of crude oil, and an aeroplane spare part. Bernard Saki is the curator for the museum. Have you had any situation or instance where somebody has brought an invention to this place?
Well, we used to organize annual science fairs in collaboration with the Ghana Education Services. So when they have these annual science fairs, it's basically for the basic schools and then the secondary cycle schools. And that is where we feature some of these programs and activities for people to bring in some of their products for display. Because we don't have such facilities to accommodate maybe large fairs or whatever, and because the building itself is not yet completed.
And so for 9 years now, you haven't had any annual science festival. And are you not worried about it?
We are not worried per se because we also have other activities.
The Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Jifa Abla Gomashi's office was our next point of call. She said the ministry is ready to support in completing the building, but is waiting for the board to decide on the next line of action.
Museums and Monuments Board has an executive director, and so that doesn't fall under the ministry exactly. It's part of one of the agencies under the ministry, but we are not the ones to tell them when to have the meeting and whatnot. They can only brief us, as I've been briefed about this one. They will only brief us what they have done, but it's not up to us to schedule a meeting for them.
Until the Museum and Monuments Board holds its next meeting to decide on the fate of the National Museum of Science and Technology, the building will continue to be a place of abode for squatters, even with time-armed robbers. Ridwan Karim Dini Osman, Joynews, Accra.
Parliament is meeting in an emergency sitting over the sale of Merchant Bank to Fortis Private Equity Fund. The parties involved were dragged to court, I'm sure you recall, by the policy think tank Center for Freedom and Accuracy. More than 80 members of Parliament, led by Deputy Minority Leader Dominic Nete, signed a motion requesting a parliamentary inquiry into the deal. Let's go to Parliament now and join our parliamentary correspondent Emmanuel Ante, who's going to give us an update on what's been happening. Hello, Ima.
Hello, Kenny.
Tell us what's been happening.
Well, nothing much. The speaker just entered. Since morning, the other paper has not been ready, and so members have been wandering around as to when the sitting is going to start, the whole proceeding is going to start. So it's just about some 2 minutes ago that the other paper was ready, and so it's being distributed to members. Now, proceedings is going to commence. But before then, I have spoken to a number of the members of Parliament, and most of them are of the opinion, especially those from the majority side, are of the opinion this is a waste of time and state resources because of this 2 days emergency sitting, because they believe that the merits of the motion that is going to be filed does not really stand. They believe that the motion itself shouldn't have been called at all. It should have waited. They should have waited till the House resumes later this month, which is 28th to 29th, between these 2 days, according to the members, so that the motion is brought on the floor before they discuss it. But as it is now, the members have been summoned. They said they are spending time with their constituents, which they don't have enough time to do, because last year they had most of their holidays being cut short because they had to come back to the House to discuss some issues. So they believe that this is just a waste of time. But the minority, they are all for it. They believe that it's about time we call for this particular issue.
So how would you consider, how full the House is at the moment? Are you able to give us the numbers?
Well, I'll tell you that the House is almost full. Members came in by 11:30. The House was almost full. just a few spots here and there.
I see.
At the moment, you, as you can see on your screen, if you have taken a seat, you realize that some parties are empty, but they are all in the house. But some are in the cafeteria, others are also loitering around, just trying to have a conversation because other people was not ready and nothing was happening. So they stepped out. But now that the speaker has arrived and they've been summoned, the bell has been rung. So they will be trooping in as and when they get the time to enter into the house. So attendance, I would say, it is very, very high.
And we see the live pictures on our screens also. But what happens with members of parliament who do not make it for this emergency sitting?
Come again.
What do you know about what could, happen to members of parliament who do not make it for the sitting?
Well, nothing much. Nothing will happen to them. This whole summons itself was derived from Article 112, which states that the members, about 15% of the members, which is about around 80 of the members, should have a concern or a motion to be raised. They have the right to do that, and the Constitution demands that members should be recalled into the House.
Right.
That alone is the Constitution. But as to what will be done to them, those that are unable to make it, they will have reasons. And so if they find out the reasons are tangible enough, nothing will be done to them. But otherwise, if not, the Speaker and the Privileges Committee will have something to do about it. They have the right to punish any member or probably give any sort of query to any member as and when. So this is the Speaker.
We see the Speaker of Parliament addressing the House at the moment. Are you able to tell us what he's saying?
Well, currently I cannot be in the chamber because I am speaking to you right now.
Absolutely.
Members we are not allowed to speak. So he is in the chamber while I am outside of the chamber. So, but I will try to tell you at the moment what he'll be doing is to address the members, tell them the reason why he summoned them to the chamber to talk about whatever they are going to discuss right now. So I am sure that is exactly what he's doing, what he will be reading at the moment.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Ante. Emmanuel Ante is Joynews' parliamentary correspondent. We'll bring you more on this particular matter in our subsequent bulletins. Let's move on with the rest of the stories. And the Bank of Ghana last week asked banks in the country to pay up to 5,000 Ghana cedis. I'll tell you why when I return. You're welcome back to News Today. The Bank of Ghana last week asked banks in the country to pay up to 5,000 Ghana cedis to third parties who present checks to them. This new limit is half the previous of 10,000 Ghana cedis issued by the central bank in July 2013. The directive took effect from January 1, 2014 and does not apply to third-party checks that are presented for the credit of an account through clearing. According to the Bank of Ghana, the further tightening of the third-party over-the-counter threshold is to reduce the incidence of fraud and other malfeasance and also to limit the scope for abuse of the banking system by criminals. The directive, however, does not apply where the payee is the drawer of the check. Let's have a breakdown of this. And Samuel Ampa is head of the Gold Coast Fund Management Limited. He's joined us over the telephone. Hello, Sami.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and Happy New Year.
Yes, same to you and all the crew members of Multi-TV.
Absolutely. But what's your assessment of this new over-the-counter third-party check withdrawal ceiling, 5,000 cedis from the 10,000?
I mean, this should not be a new policy direction. The Bank of Ghana made it clear in June that it will further go down after it came up with a 10,000 threshold, that it was further going to go down. Basically, Ghana is moving into a cash-light society where most transactions will not be done with cash, but with some innovative products like the the credit cards, the ATM cards, and any other product.
Right, Sammy, and this move is supposed to check fraud. How would it be able to do that?
You know, in a society where a lot more in terms of monies drawn over the counter is limited, you know, people who are either through using the check system to withdraw monies from people's account, you will not have the opportunity again. Now with 5,000 Ghana cedis, it could be very minimal, though, but it could be too much for some people. Either to when you could withdraw 10,000 and above, you know, one person's account could be drained to zero with an open check appeal. So therefore, this process, one, is going to reduce the incidence of fraud. That is key. Now, in an economy where a lot more cash transaction is predominant, it becomes very difficult to control things like money laundering and issues like that. So if we have a cash-light society, it becomes very difficult for money laundering as one thing, and then fraudulent activities, the other thing, to go on like that. This is not going to happen in Ghana. I mean, you look at all the African countries around us. Nigeria has done that. I mean, it has reduced the threshold from 150,000 to close to about 100,000, you know, naira. You know, so it tells you that a lot more. If you go to the advanced countries, the society is cash light. I mean, there's no cash transactions over the counter in the banks. So it reduces the incidence of fraud. And then it also allows banks also to be very, very innovative. Now, most of our banks with this directive are becoming more innovative. If you look at online banking is coming in at this time to solve this problem so that people can transact business through the website, through the internet, and not necessarily go to the bank to also transact do cash transactions.
But Sammy, all of these being innovative, online banking and a cash-light society, don't we risk putting off, you know, the millions of the bankable members of our society who do not engage the banks?
Well, now it comes I do not see that as a risk. I mean, now it comes as a challenge rather to the commercial banks. Now to churn out products that could serve the general populace, you know, because Bank of Ghana is also considering the safety and the security of depositors, as well as, you know, the fact that we are moving into a society where, I mean, it's become necessary we move on as a nation in terms of technological advancement. So it now becomes, you know, somehow a challenge for the commercial banks to see how best they can serve their clients with very, you know, attractive products where these new policies will not directly affect their transactions with them. Rather, they will welcome that because, I mean, a lot more people have been complaining about people signing their signatures and, you know, going to defraud them of huge sums of money. Today, if you go to the bank, you could see when you're holding a third-party check, you could see the processes you have to go through at the bank, you know, to be able to clear the third-party check. Those processes, those delays and those bureaucracies are some of the things that the Bank of Ghana see it right to take out so that you can do transactions and save you time and you know, the stress, you know, in clearing third-party checks.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Samuel Lampa is head of research, Gold Coast Fund Management Limited. We'll move on to some other stories. Managers of fuel stations are asking the public to adhere to safety precautions given them at the stations to prevent the incidence of fire. According to them, several motorists put their lives in jeopardy by taking the safety tips for granted.
The relevance of fuel stations cannot be underestimated given the increasing numbers of vehicles in the country. These highly flammable stations, if not properly handled, can be extremely dangerous, but interestingly, several of them are situated close to households. Managers of fuel stations that are already established say although they do not have control over how households prevent fires, they educate them on safety.
We used to have education with them that the children around here should not use knockout and other things here, and also they should not burn rubbish and other things around these places, because if there's any fire, they will be affected too. So they are also very, very careful, especially when we are discharging fuel here. We make sure that we go around the nearby houses and tell them that this is what is happening. So they should speak to their children, especially knockout. It's very, very important here. And burning of rubbish and other things, that's the only thing we should share with them, so that there will not be any fire around this place.
Most fuel stations are neat and well demarcated with numerous fire extinguishers. To ensure proper procedures are followed, fuel discharging points at the various stations come with the processes posted. Fuel reservoirs kept away from the public have also been defined, with green signifying the V-Power fuel, red the fuel super, and black representing diesel, to prevent mixture of fuels. No smoking, no ignition sources, no sitting or straddling while refueling, among other precautions, are slammed all over the walls of fuel stations to prevent fire outbreaks. Containers to store fuel must be metallic, since rubber containers can easily catch fire, but most motorists were found using unapproved containers. Officials are worried the enforcement is becoming a challenge.
Some of the mobile is very powerful, so you cannot fuel at the same time receiving call. When you are receiving call, we are fueling, it also can catch fire. The mobile is like engine, so anything can happen at that moment, because what we are selling is inflammable, whatever it is, so it can catch at fire at anything. So when we are reached here, we ask you to put your mobile off before we serve you. People don't understand those things. They thought it's not anything. So when we educated them, they don't want to listen to us. But it's very important to listen to us.
He added that education on ensuring safety at fuel stations should be deepened to prevent outbreaks.
Textile workers in Ghana have warned they will again hit the streets of Accra to press home their demand for the reinstatement of the anti-piracy task force on textile. The Textile Garment and Leather Workers Union in December last year embarked on a similar protest to register their displeasure with the government's decision to suspend the work of the task force. I have with me John Amwa. He is head brand protection at Akosombo Textiles, and we'll deal with this matter over the next few minutes. Thank you very much, John, for joining us on News Today.
Thank you.
A second demonstration. After the first one, what happened?
Well, after the first one, we were expecting to hear something from the president, because what we are asking for is not anything that should be difficult for the president to actually adhere to our petition, because the rules are there, the laws are there, and we think we are doing the right thing. We are doing the legitimate business, and for that matter, if somebody was sitting somewhere, copy our designs, copy our registered brands, logo and whatnot, and then they sell them cheap in the market, which is also creating problem for the legitimate businesses in Ghana, then we have the right to do so. Government received our petition, all right, promising us is going to work on it to ensure that the task force will go back to market and seize the pirated materials. But up till now, we've not heard anything, and the workers are afraid of being laid off or something, because if things are not going well for their employers, definitely it is going to be difficult for them as well. And that is why the workers want to go again on demonstration, for president to know that indeed the workers are serious with their petition.
But there was a reason for having called off the work of the task force. It wasn't good enough for you?
I think no. The work for the task force was good for the workers because they were doing the right thing. And then since they've been asked not to do, now it has paved way for the pirates to do their business. And that is creating problem for us. So what we want is that government should allow the task force to go back to market and work. That is what we are asking for.
The traders wanted this be done with a human face because of several experiences on the markets. And one of the reasons the task force was called off. Now you're embarking on a second demonstration. What are you putting across this time?
Our message is so simple and straightforward that we want to see the government commitment to protect the pirated business in this country. And that is the right thing government started doing by having this task force in place to seize this product. And now government has held them back. It means the government is not actually, for us, we see that the government is not helping us until the task force will go back and do their work. Then we see the government is in support.
When are you hitting the streets?
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, John. John Amwa is head of brand protection at Akosombo Textiles. We'll take a quick break. When I return, we'll do some sports news. You're welcome back to News Today. It's time for some sports news. And the United Arab Emirates Giants Align have launched an ambitious bid to sign the Ghana superstar Michael Essien from English side Chelsea and unite him with his compatriots Asamoah Gyan at the Emirates club, with a deal expected this week. Sources close to the midfielder have told Ghana's leading football news outfit that Al-Ain directors have made initial inquiries about signing the want-away player from the Blues. Asamoah Gyan, who is a close friend of Essien, mooted the idea to Al-Ain officials who are seeking replacement for out-of-form midfielder Mirel Radoy, which has prompted the chase by the UAE club. Now, President John Mahama will tomorrow interact with the media at the Flagstaff House. This is part of activities to mark the first year of the president's term in office. The meeting, which is scheduled for 11 a.m. tomorrow at the banquet hall of the Flagstaff House, will allow selected media practitioners, including the presidential press corps, pose questions to the president. Officials at the presidency say this year's presidential media interaction has space for specialized reporters such as sports and showbiz as a way of addressing some concerns raised in previous ones hosted by late President Atta Mills. Details of the other activities of the anniversary are not yet known. Let's now move on to showbiz. An ex-Ghanaian striker, Bafo Gyan, and brother to the Black Star captain Asamoah Gyan, is set to be joining Castro in the studio to produce a song that is expected to take Ghanaians by surprise during the World Cup this year.
Check away, say move front, son of Baka, and wine and madan. So Jagella, so pressure on the Quan retro Quan, yeah. Came my yappy, but I soon a chant and a man share.
It appears that the Gyan brothers, apart from football, have unexplainable love for music. The elders of the Gyans, Bafo, will join his brother and the sensational musician Castro in their quest of doing music. When showbiz caught up with Castro and Bafo Gyan recently, they, for the first time in an exclusive interview, broke the news of their newest member of the group.
Okay, what I would like to tell my fans is that they should expect more. I mean, more mad up tunes, more crazy tunes, more love tunes from Castro and Asamoah Gyan. And there is something that I just want to hide it from people, but I want to blow it up. Watch out Castro and Asamoah Gyan and Bafo Gyan. But what I want to tell you people is that, even before I did that song, African Girls with Asamoah, before people realized that, oh, so Asamoah Gyan can rap. You get it? But it's something that is inside these people. Yeah, I'm telling you, they can sing, they can rap. You get it? So watch out for now. You people seeing what Asamoah Gyan can do, but watch out for Bafo Gyan. We're coming up. No, we're coming out with a big tune. Trust me.
I love famous people. Burren Castro's words. It's been a mad time on News Today. Let's check our headlines again. 1 person shot dead and 3 others arrested in demolition exercise at aviation lands in the Adentan municipality of the Greater Accra region. Managers of fuel stations ask public to adhere to safety precautions given them at the stations to prevent the incident so far. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much for staying through the hour. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.